Hey everybody, and welcome back to another fun live stream. So I was doing some meditation and did some writing today. It's something I've been meaning to do, and because I realized if I'm going to be doing these live streams, I also have to practice what I preach too, and stop like whining about what I'm going to be doing for my own creative life and get on with it. So I was thinking, what am I going to talk about? And it was the first chapter in the work that I'm creating. It just rang true so much, and it really dug deep. And it's a story I've told so many times, but I'm revisiting the story of things that have happened in my life with all the new perspective and adding all the new mindset work and manifestation work and working on my vibration and my energy and everything that I've been studying and focusing on and talking about and that I've seen come together in fruition, and now going back to type that story that I've told so many times. And I've got low battery, so I don't know if I'm gonna make it. If I run out of power, I might have to cut this video short and go get a power cord. I wish I had one in this room, but I don't. So I want you to think of this for a second. If someone told you, okay, I'm going to give you $10,000, and what you have to do, but you have to go get it in Europe. If you're in the US, you have to go get it in Europe. And they said, yeah, you're going to get it. Now, the first things first, you may or may not set out to go get that money, because you're thinking, well, do I really need it? Is this legit? Is this nonsense? I don't know if I'm really going to do this. I don't know if I can. You'll make up excuses. You'll come up with anything to not go. Now, same scenario. What if someone's going to give you all this money? Make it a lot higher, make it a lot more. It's going to give you everything that you've always wanted and always dreamed of. Now, what if they say that, like, there's a way that you can guarantee 100% that you are going to get this. You're going to get the money 100%. How likely are you to go wherever you need to go to get it? Probably very likely. You will borrow, beg, steal, do whatever. You will find a way to do it. And what's interesting is in life, a lot of times we find excuses to not get what we want all the time. We find a way to get excuses. Because the reality is you know the ticket to getting where you want to be and having the life you want and being creative. There's no super big secret to it. You have to do it. And first and foremost, you have to actually do whatever it is you're doing. And yet I see so many creative people not doing the thing. Like not even showing up to do the work. Period. Forget about the attitude that you have to put into it. Like, I mean, literally talking themselves out of going out and doing the work. I meet actors that are like, oh my gosh, I want to be on this TV show. I want to do this so bad. Well, are you auditioning? Are you taking classes? I don't have time. No. If you're not going to show up to make it happen, you are to blame for that. And that what leads me to the topic. You are the responsible party in your life circumstances and for having the life that you want. You, person listening to this right now, whoever is listening to this either in live stream or in replay, you. In terms of energy, manifestation, mindset, there is no other. We're all part of source. We're all connected. So therefore, we are all responsible for this piece of the whole picture. This is it. This is the only one you've been committed to. You are controlling this reality. You. You. There is no one to blame. So sorry, you can't blame your parents. You can't blame your mean friend. You can't blame the person who took that job away from you. You can't blame the marriage that didn't work. You can't blame the car accident that you were in. You can't blame anything. There is no blame. That is a not fun statement. And this is where people get really mad. Because they're like, Aisha, what about tragedy? What about things that have happened in your past? They happened for a lot of different energy reasons. And this has always been a hard part for me to take in. The reason why you have to accept that there is no one to blame and that you are 100% responsible for everything that is going to happen to you, because therein lies all of your power. Because as soon as you blame and as soon as you give all the power to someone else, oh my gosh, do you guys hear my crazy dogs? Like, they're all playing in the other room and they're insane. But when you start to focus on the other, you're giving all of your energy and time and power and everything. You're giving your authority to somebody else, and now they are in charge of your story. They get to dictate how you go through your life, how you live out your story. When you take the first step, no matter how uncomfortable it is, and you say, you know what, this is my life, this is my story, and I'm going to take full responsibility for everything that happens to me in my story. On the same flip, you don't have to take on somebody else's responsibility. Here's the fun part. You don't have to take on somebody else's choices for their life. And I think this is where the challenge with trauma sets in, where people spend all their time blaming instead of realizing that you don't have to live in a codependent existence. You don't have to take on somebody else's choices for their life. You don't have to spend your time making sure somebody else is okay while neglecting what's going on here. You are taking responsibility for your choices in your life, and what are you going to do with your story from here on out, like from the now, because there is no other part of the story that you've got now, right now. And that is so empowering, because that means you get to choose where it's going to go. Just you. Nobody else has that over you. And that is a very freeing statement and a very scary statement for a lot of people. Because when you take responsibility, when you just take that first step, when you really sit in that, even if you're just trying it out, just try it out and say, wow, I'm responsible. So if I'm looking at my marriage didn't work out, I'm responsible for that. I did that. I'm responsible for that. If I look at the career opportunities I had when I was focused on being a visual artist, I chose to do that. That didn't work because of me, because of my choices, what I did. If I have relationships that didn't work out, they didn't work because I chose them to not work out. Now, once you accept that and you take in that power, then if you don't like how that sounds, then you can start to dissect, well, why would I do that? Why? Why would I want that? Why would I want that in my life? Why would I cause myself such pain and suffering? Well, now you can probably dissect some blockages and really get down to what you want and what's going on. If I look at relationships and say, my life choices made that happen, well, why did you make that choice? What was the benefit there? Well, you might find out it's like, well, because I'm not ready to be in that long-term relationship, or I want something different for my life, or I wanted to live out this story or this truth because someone told me that was what I was supposed to do, and really I don't want to do that. Like, when you start to take that responsibility, then it gets interesting. I think it's really interesting because you can start to look at things in a different angle. Remember, you're an artist, so you're going to look at things in a different angle and play around with it. Just like any other creation that you are putting together, trying out different things, making choices, making radical choices just to see how it turns out. You can do that with your life, and you should, because if you're going along your whole life along with the status quo, saying that, well, it's so and so's fault that this happened. Oh, I can't have this because of the XYZ. Well, if only I was born in a different family. Oh, well, I can't do that. I can't. That's what you're gonna get forever and ever and ever, and it's never gonna change. So get radical. Get radical. Get up in there in your life and try it, and just say, you know what if she's right? What if you are 100% responsible? What if there is no one to? What if I took away your ability to blame someone for everything? How would that change your life? How would that change your whole entire existence right now? And how does that make you feel? Like, if I tell you can't blame anyone, does that make you mad? Does that really tick you off? And then you say, like, well, why do I want to hold on to this? Why am I giving this event, this person, this thing, why am I giving them 100% control of how I walk through this world? Nobody has that control over you. Nobody. And I bring this up too because right now we are listening to some very, very, very powerful testimony going on in this country with people who have been hurt and victimized. And you can say, I get to choose how this story continues. Me. I'm not going to sit here and take all my time and blaming someone else and hiding and shying away. I'm going to step up, and that's what part of courage and changing your life. When everything started falling apart, I had this terrible time in my marriage, and it was just the traumatic event. There were other events, but there was one big traumatic event. And when that happened, I could have spent all my time blaming other people, blaming this, blaming, but there just came a point where I just said, I have to deal with this now. I have to deal with this. Me. I'm the only one. I have to face it, point on, and deal with it. Take on any blame, commitment, responsibility. Me. And that is a scary moment. If you have been through traumatic circumstances and you are spending all of your time pointing, it's their fault, there will come a point where you just have to be like, okay, you know what? And face it full on and take the responsibility and like, what am I going to do with this? Me. Right now. What am I going to do with it right now? And that is what we're hearing in the news right now. People stepping off that ledge and just saying, this is it. I'm facing it full on, and I'm taking on every bit of it, and I am responsible for this particular life and the choices I made. I'm doing this. Like I said, that does not let people off the hook that make different choices that traumatize and hurt. Because remember, you don't have to be responsible for their choices. No. You're responsible for your life. For what happens to you. So go ahead and take that responsibility. Just take it and just see what happens, because once you take it, that means you can change it. You can only change what you're responsible for. So if you take on responsibility for your whole life, top to bottom, that means you can change it. And if you give that authority to someone else, then there's nothing you can do. You're waiting for them to make changes that may or may not come. I much prefer, if the way that I can change my life and take full responsibility and make things happen, if it comes down to I will take responsibility for things that I don't want to, fine, so be it. I'll take it, because then I have taken back all my power. I would much rather have that. I don't want to spend all my time waiting for someone to do right by me. They're not going to. All right, I take that back. They may or may not. I don't know. But I don't want to spend my time waiting on it. And I don't want to give the creation of my glorious, abundant life I don't want to give that to someone else. It's mine. And it sucks. It's so much easier to blame someone, isn't it? It's so much easier to blame an event and blame a thing. Like, I could have blamed that traumatic event. I could have blamed it on it, but it was me. I have to take responsibility for the choices that I made. I don't have to take responsibility for how someone else judges me or looks at me, because that's not my concern. I can't do anything about that. That's not my realm of care or worry. Therefore, if you can't control it, if it's not in your realm, let it go. So someone else's judgment, someone else's determination, or telling you what you are worth, that's not for you. That has no concern for you. Literally, it has no concern for you, because you have no idea what's going on with them. So leave it. Let it go. Who cares? Who cares if someone is trying to determine your worth? Who cares? It's all you and what you are going to do with this life. So whether or not, so if you're blaming, oh, I can't do this because my parents never treated me with respect and they were so mean to me. But you're worthy of respect and love. You have no issues, control, worry, care about what other people think of you and base your worth on. They don't determine your worth. Just because someone doesn't see the worth in something, that's their problem. That doesn't change the item. So if they miss out, too bad for them. So take responsibility for your life. So what does this mean for creative? If you're a creative entrepreneur, right now, today, what did you do today? What can you do today? What can you do tomorrow? How are you going to get to that next step? What do you need to do? And what if you didn't have anyone to blame? It's not because you can't afford fancy brushes. It's not because you can't find canvas. It's not because your parents didn't send you to a specialized school. It's not because you don't live in the right area. It's not because I can't do this because I don't have the right perfect computer. It's not because you're too tall. It's not because you're too short. It's not because your voice is funny. It's not because you have straight hair. It's not because you have curly hair. It's not because of any of that. You can still have the creative life, because in the whole of humankind, there was someone who had less or different ways of going through the world, and they were able to just be themselves. Be authentic, be yourself, and go do it. Stop blaming. You're missing out on everything. You're missing out on your power. You're missing out on your abundance. You're missing out on your glory because you're spending all of your time and energy finding someone to blame. And wouldn't it be amazing if you could just keep all that and use all that energy towards, I am the master of this vessel. I am creating this story. This is my story, and I am creating it piece by piece, moment by moment, every single second. And it is of vital importance that each and every one, that if you are a creator, you need to create. If you have a project burning in your head, like right now you have a project burning inside of you that you are not touching or doing or making excuses not to do. Start doing it. Find a way to do it. Find a way to do it. Because in that finding, in that overcoming that challenge and overcoming that tension, that's where you come up with something brilliant and new and amazing. So if you're just sitting there blaming, you're going to come up with the same old tired stuff that has already been done. Take the responsibility and make sure you tell yourself and get hungry for it and make it happen. Make it happen at all costs. So that's my big thing for today. Like you are creating this story of your life. There is no one to blame. Once you accept that and really just take it in, just sit with it for a second or a moment or a day, whatever, sit with it and see what that does. See how that opens you up. See how that changes the trajectory of everything. And then continue on. All right. I am going to make myself some tea. I'm excited. And I'm going to finish my writing for today. My goal is 2,000 words. And I have a couple hundred more left to write in the first chapter. And I'll have to work on my script to get off book. So I have a big creative evening ahead of me. And I'm dog tired, no pun intended. Because, you know, I have all the critters. I'm surrounded by animals all the time. I am dog tired. All I want to do is get in a bubble bath or lay down and veg out and watch TV. And I am going to work instead. I'm going to work on my creative projects instead. Because I'm responsible for this story. The creations aren't going to make themselves. The lines are going to magically come into my head. That'd be great if they could. That my story isn't going to magically tell itself. So yeah. I can blame being tired, or I can just quit whining about it and do it. I have to give myself tough love. So I have people out there that are like, "You're so mean sometimes, and you're so tough." And yes, sometimes again, don't let the freckles fool you. I'm tough on myself too. So I can sit there, I can keep whining about it. And whine about it, my feet hurt, I'm so tired, I want to take a nap. I can keep whining about it. That is perfectly acceptable. There is no one here to stop me, but it won't get done. And so then I would have made that happen. So instead, I'm going to suck it up and get to work. And I suggest you do the same. Get to work. Take responsibility. It's all on you. If you're looking around your whole life and you don't like it, take responsibility. Okay? All right. That's it for tonight because I know my phone is about to die. So I will be back tomorrow. Like I said, send me some topics. I'll just keep coming up with stuff. If not, we'll just keep on talking. But your mindset is everything. You can't go anywhere if you don't get your mind right around what you're going to attract and what you're going to do, and taking responsibility and keeping focus and getting that energy going. So get on with it. All right. Talk to you all later. Bye.